Oh, wow. You have like questions prepared?
Nah, I wrote
Look
down
at
notes.
you,
I always
so
have notes for people.
professional. Wow.
Aren't you used to this type of stuff now that you've been on CBS News and
Yeah, kind of.
New York Times?
I
And
just didn't think you were that professional.
thanks for appreciate that. This is getting off to a good start, but right away.
It's a mild roast.
I'd like to defend
worry about-
myself, but had I not just realized that I had a little boo boo there. Anyways, I was mentioning if it weren't for you, I wouldn't have realized this is my like 2-year anniversary right now.
Congratulations. That's amazing.
I'll take it. How long has it been for you now? Not drinking.
For me, not drinking, I stopped drinking November 2022, so it's been 2 years, 2 months, and just over a week.
I like that you know exactly how many weeks it's been.
Yeah.
How long till it was not like? Is it still difficult?
No, not at all. And it was never really difficult from the beginning. That's a weird thing. I don't know if I mentioned this last time we talked, but I'm like a kind of a freak case where I just like went right into it. I went right into all the non-alc drinks. I went into the industry. I bought a lot of different non-alc drinks. I started making my own cocktails. I started hosting alcohol-free events. So from the get-go, I was like, this is my personality now. It wasn't a plan. I was not planning on quitting drinking for good. It was just a research thing I was going to do for like 2 or 3 months. And maybe because of that, I kind of didn't struggle with it because I thought it was only going to be 2 or 3 months. And then after about 2 months, I just realized this was great and I was just going to stick with it.
What do you mean a research thing?
Because I had the idea of starting Third Place Bar and hosting alcohol-free events before I quit drinking. Yeah.
Why?
Because I just wanted to have an alternative. I was just constantly going out. I was constantly drinking. I was constantly hanging out at bars. And I thought it was, this is New York City. Everything is possible. There's a freaking cereal bar in Chinatown.
So you were thinking about going cold turkey for a while before you finally did it?
Not necessarily. No.
So you were just thinking of third place bar.
I wanted to have Third Place Bar. I wanted to have a brick and mortar non-alcoholic bar because I thought it was stupid that didn't exist in New York City.
That's like a vegetarian dreaming of opening up a steakhouse.
The other way around. It's the other way around. And it's actually not that crazy if you think about it. If you think of someone who owns a steakhouse maybe opening up a vegetarian place,
spot.
Which is not that crazy to say like, hey, I see that there are no good vegetarian restaurants in this town. I'm going to open that because I can do it and because I think it's necessary and because I enjoy vegetarian food. I'm not fully vegetarian myself, but I want to just provide that to other people. And I also want to have that place for myself when I need it as an alternative. I think it's actually a really good analogy.
So then right after you decided to stop, you pretty much decided this is the time to start Third Place?
The other way around. I was thinking of starting Third Place. I was doing research into the whole non-alc space, and as part of that, I stopped drinking as sort of for like customer research, customer empathy. I was like, oh yeah, if I have an alcohol-free bar, there's gonna be a bunch of sober people come in probably. And I listened to a lot of podcasts just to kind of familiarize myself with all of that. And as part of like listening to the podcast, reading the books, I was like, wait. A, I should probably stop drinking just for research, and B, it sounds like quitting drinking is a good thing. Maybe I should try that for myself. And then I did, and yeah, it was a good thing.
When you say research, are you saying like to research the like non-alcoholic space or to see how it affects you personally?
More to research the space.
Oh,
like more
okay.
to just like understand again the customer empathy, more to understand like where people are coming from if they don't drink alcohol, because that was not something I had ever experienced in my adult life.
Not drinking?
Yeah. I started drinking when I was 16.
Yeah, we talked about that last time.
Yeah,
that the drinking age over Germany is so young.
Yeah.
Man, you had no chance. I'm
I had no chance. There's no way I was gonna make this out, make it out of it without.
If I started drinking at 16, man,
yeah. No, of course I was, and it was never. It was always just like, of course there's alcohol. Of course I'm gonna drink. Why would I not drink?
Yeah.
It seemed crazy to me, and again, like for me, the desire to create this third space or third place that was alcohol free, that was open late in the evening, was really just because I wanted to have an alternative where I didn't feel like drinking was the default, but where if I it was a Monday night, and I was coming back from my improv classes, actually right next to Comedy Cellar, funny enough, upstairs at Improv Evolution.
Mm.
And I would come back, and I was so wired
I'm gonna move this a little bit closer to you.
after 3 hours of like running around and screaming and acting and like doing crazy improv shit. Sorry, is this gonna be censored on your podcast?
Censored.
Bleep me, daddy. Um, this is gonna
Now.
be censored now. Yeah, I was just like so wired and so kind of on edge after my improv classes. I didn't want to go home and just sit at home alone. So I went to a bar, and at some point I was like, why is there nowhere else I can just go to like chill, maybe be around people, wind down a little bit without drinking, 2, 3, 4 tequila sodas on a Monday night, because that's what I would do. Because why would I go to a bar if I'm not drinking?
I
Right?
remember last time you were here, you told me tequila soda was your go-to drink, and I was like, "That's a
Yeah.
good go-to."
The girl likes liquor.
And it was like the happiest you've ever been around me. Just that I approve of
felt,
something.
yeah, I felt very, finally, like I got your respect.
There was this new person at work the other day, not the other day, a couple of months back, and I said something along the lines of the meaner I am to you, like the more I probably like you. And somebody else, one of my other coworkers from that I wasn't talking to at all, she just goes, "Oh, good, that makes me feel better." I realized, oh, I didn't even realize I was being mean to you. But
You're
yeah,
just kind of mean. Yeah,
yeah,
you
yeah,
are.
yeah.
You're
All
a
right.
sassy
Anyway,
little
shut up.
friend.
I'm a little thirsty.
Okay. Ooh.
Which one do you want to start
Yes.
with?
Okay. So I
Oh,
have
for
brought
the
a
listeners,
selection.
Sam brought us some more examples of some non-alcoholic drinks.
Yes, and this time I'm not making you mix your own drinks like
Thank you
last
for
time.
not putting me to work. Yeah.
Exactly. I'm not going to make you wash your bar tools and mix drinks and find ice and all that. But this time I just brought some canned and bottled goods. So I have a non-alcoholic IPA from a brand called Momentum. The guy who runs it is German. It's a hazy IPA. It's really good. I actually just had it at a non-alcoholic beverage tasting class
I like the
with a
cans.
at a lawyer's
Momentum.
office last night.
At a lawyer's office?
Yeah, I did
Nice.
a class at a lawyer's office in the FIDI, and they really like that one. So that's a really good hazy IPA. I have another beer, the Best Day Electro Lime Cerveza. So like it's
It's like a Corona, right?
a Corona with the lime built in, kind
Right,
of.
right. I think I might have actually had
Yeah,
that
it
one.
was really good. It's a super, super fun drink. I really like these. I have a phony
I've
Negroni.
never had a phony Negroni.
That's
So
interesting. Okay, this one is super popular. Like everywhere in New York City, like wherever you go, they're probably gonna have a phony
phony
Negroni.
espresso
But this one
Negroni.
is the espresso Negroni, because the regular phony Negroni, no offense, but it is a little sweet and not bitter enough for me. The espresso Negroni has like it's pretty good. I have a can of Aplos, which is a non-alcoholic cocktail infused with hemp. No
Oh,
THC,
cool.
no CBD. This is not, but it's hemp infused. This one is really fun. This is the Ume Spritz, so
Okay.
a little bit of like a tart plum, I think that's ume. And then the last one, which I will not partake in, but I brought it for you because I know you're a fan.
I see why.
It's a brand called Wink with a Y, and that's a juicy mango seltzer that has 2.5 milligram THC and 2.5 milligram CBD.
Nice.
So this is for you. I might have a little sip. These are extremely tasty. Like they're so good. But I'm such a lightweight. I can't have more than a couple sips. They keep sending me samples and they're like, Sam, try these. And I'm like, are you trying to make me pass out hard? So I brought this for you because I figured you'll like that.
What is your relationship with weed?
Oh, THC, I wish I could still do it. I used to be a massive pothead when I was a teenager. But that was what? Early 2000s in like a small town in Germany. I was just smoking homegrown weed, and that stuff was really weak. I would be able to smoke an entire joint by myself and then just like, I don't know, half an hour later go drive home. It's fine. Like I never really I got high, but like not like super high. The stuff that you get, like all the legal weed you get from the dispensaries and all the edibles and stuff, it makes me paranoid. It makes me nonverbal. Like I stopped talking. That should tell you how freaking strong it is. It makes me paranoid. It makes me nonverbal, and then I just fall asleep.
Yeah.
It is an extremely unpleasant substance for me.
Every time that I talk to someone that just doesn't enjoy smoking, usually the common link is the paranoia, and
Yeah.
I always feel
Yeah.
bad about because I don't like get
Yeah.
that, but yeah, I always feel like, oh man, that would suck if every time.
It's not fun. It's legit. My entire brain is just like, what are you doing with your life? Like, yeah, it's not like paranoia, and then as in like, oh my god, everyone's looking at me or something, or like the government is out to get me. Although they are, like, we all know
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
We all know that. But it's
It's a
more
lot
just like
changed since our last episode.
it's a lot of just like voices and not voices, but it's a lot of self talk and like a lot of self consciousness and like, oh my god, what am I doing here? Why am I high again? Like I should be home, I should be working, I should be cleaning up. What am I doing? Or you know, like just I start questioning myself and my choices, and that is just so not fun.
Yeah.
I
So
just
let's stay
don't
away
do
from that one.
Yeah, I'll have a little sip. If we open it, I'll have a little sip because it's tasty.
I want to work up to the phony
Yeah.
Negroni, so let's save
I
that
would, I would
one.
recommend like maybe starting with one of the beers. I think
Yeah,
that's what
for
we did
sure. And
last
since
time.
I feel like I've had this one before, let's wait on that one. I want to start with the IPA
Oh,
actually.
yeah.
Something
Let's go.
interesting's happened. Actually, we didn't even touch upon this, but it's what I find most interesting about our second time meeting on the show is how much has changed for me.
Yeah, like I'm still exactly the same. Like 2 years. No, but honestly, like 2 years later, right? Like I'm still just not drinking, and I'm still hosting alcohol-free events. You've had like a whole like character arc of, and I know last time we saw each other, I invited you to my sober comedy show to
Club Soda
perform,
Comedy.
right?
Thank you
Yeah,
once
Club
again
Soda
for
Comedy.
that. Cheers.
Cheers. How do you like it?
I like it a lot. Something's happened to me since I stopped. Well, I don't say I stopped drinking.
Well, what's the current? I'm so curious, and we didn't even talk before this episode, and I, like I said, I haven't listened to your podcast in like a couple months probably at this point, so I have no idea what. Oh my god, I'm so sorry. Sorry.
I love that off camera. She's like, "So well, I haven't listened in such a long time. What's going on?" I'm like, "This son of a bitch."
Sorry. No, but it's also like
I
I
assume
mean,
none of my guests ever
I was
listen,
like,
so.
I'm excited to hear from you
Cool.
because obviously, as you know, when you announce on your podcast that you're taking a break from drinking, I immediately texted you.
You did,
Like
yeah,
as
yeah.
soon as I heard, I wasn't even done listening to the podcast, and I think it might have even been like early in the morning. I was in the bathroom brushing my teeth because that's usually when I listen to podcasts is when I
Mm-hmm.
get ready in the morning. And I was like, "Oh, he's quitting drinking. This is my opportunity."
We
Like,
got him.
yeah, and I immediately texted you and was like, "Let me know if you need anything. Like, this is awesome.
That's funny.
I'm so supportive. I'm your cheerleader. I'm a fan."
It's like
so-
you're scouting for people
Yeah.
as soon as they turn non-alcoholic. It's like, yes,
exactly.
like a college scout. I've been taking notes on you.
Yeah, maybe I feel like I've been grooming you.
You're the
And
sober groomer.
You just turned 18.
Sam, you are problematic, kid.
Sober. But I'm like the opposite of problematic. I'm like,
Come on my show flaunting your feet, grooming me. God.
yeah, I feel like I planted a seed maybe 2 years ago when I was on the show.
I mean,
You know, but tell me, what's the current? What's the sitch?
so I'm not sober. I'm not fully non-alcoholic. I think on average, I might be drinking once a month right now.
You're a mindful drinker.
Yeah, I guess. And then, even then, like it's not by drinking once a month. I think since I went over a month without drinking completely when I first started it. And I think since then, I've been drunk definitely one time, and it was for my birthday
Fair.
here at home, like
Yeah.
with my friends, you know. I think maybe one more time after that, like after I worked a bunch of shifts during the holidays, and I finally was about to have like a weekend off, and I went and had some like after work drinks with some coworkers, and it was literally like 2 drinks, 2 shots, and I'm out. But the shots over there, since we're like regulars, they're like they
Little
might as
bucket.
well fill this shit
Yeah,
up, you know,
yeah,
like
yeah,
so. So I've been drunk twice, whereas before that I was drunk 5 nights a week at least, you know. So
5 nights a week.
sometimes twice a day, you know. Like I'd be drunk, like I'd get drunk, sober up, then I'd get drunk again, you know. So
Wow. Yeah. No, I mean, that's just absolutely incredible considering you are surrounded by alcohol
Yeah.
at your workplace,
So the
right?
main thing for me that I thought was going to make it difficult was just the act of like pouring it and not desiring some
Mm,
at any moment. But when I was in the thick of it, like that first month, I was pretty surprised at how it was almost as if the smell of it started hitting me different.
mm,
And I was like, oh, I can't believe people are like just drink this, like, and I'm like, I was just doing that last
yeah.
week, like last week, Will, you were doing it, and
Yeah.
now I just got like, I didn't get high and mighty about it. I was
Mm,
more like confused, like, wow,
mm,
like, and like an idiot, I'd be looking at like, a drunk friend or a drunk coworker, and I
mm.
and I'd be like, wow, you still do that, huh? Like in my head, like
Yeah.
like I just like
Yeah.
it's like it's I don't know, it felt a little weird, and then what helped a lot was just being sober and seeing everyone else be
Drunk.
drunk.
Mm,
And I started like realizing,
mm.
um, like, damn, every time I probably thought I was like passing as pretty sober, I
Mm-hmm.
probably looked as dumb as most of these people, you know? Like
Yeah.
I've probably looked dumb more often than I've
Yeah.
not, like for a
Yeah.
long time. So, I started getting more out of not drinking than I did drinking.
Amazing.
And that,
That's a great way to phrase it too. Remember when we first talked, like the last time, I think you said, just to describe how I felt about drinking, you said the juice is not worth the
the squeeze,
squeeze.
yeah.
I learned that phrase like 2 years ago when we first talked, and it's almost like the reverse, right?
Right.
Where you actually, it's not about like the downsides of drinking versus non-drinking, but it's more about the benefits of not drinking are actually greater than the advantages of drinking. That's how I describe it to a lot of people when they ask me, why don't you drink again? Are you thinking of drinking again? And again, for me, it was so easy to quit. Also, I mean, like full disclosure, I did experiment a tiny bit with some like microdosing some shrooms and stuff like over the first like 2, 3 months maybe,
Mm-hmm.
which really helped me. I almost don't do that anymore. I do enjoy actually just being completely sober for a lot of things, which is kind of crazy. Like even when I go out partying, I go out dancing, I go to like live shows and stuff. I went to see Fortet, like the squid soup
Mm-hmm.
Fortet thing with like the crazy lights and stuff.
Yeah.
Went to see that completely sober. And that would have been a perfect opportunity to like microdose some psychedelics. And I was like, no, this is already going to be like fun enough without anything. So I might as well just go sober. Um, so just because it was so easy for me, and I do still take sips of alcohol every once in a while. I'm not like, oh my God, I will never have any alcohol like past my lips or anything. I work in the non-alc industry. I work a lot with non-alcoholic beverages. I go to a lot of bars to taste non-alcoholic cocktails. I teach non-alcoholic mixology classes. Trying bits of alcohol in other cocktails, like regular cocktails with alcohol, makes perfect sense for me in order to like quote unquote stay fresh. So I actually just know what it tastes like.
Mm-hmm.
And I have no desire to do more than that. And it's really funny because yeah, like I said, people ask me, are you gonna drink again? And I said, it's not like I don't want to drink. I would love to get wrecked. Or I would love to even just no, or I would love to just have like a glass of wine, right?
Yeah.
Like here and there. But to me, the benefit of knowing I'm just gonna wake up tomorrow morning, like I'm going out tonight, like I just RSVP'd on resident advisor. Just knowing that I can go out tonight and I can party and then I'll wake up at whatever 9 a.m. tomorrow morning feeling just fine.
Yeah.
That's like so much better than like, oh yeah, let's get wrecked.
That's
God, I love it.
that was the driving force behind my decision. Was I've told this to people. I love to this day, I love being drunk.
Yeah.
That part is awesome.
Yeah.
What I don't hate is, I mean, what I don't love is the next day. The
Yeah.
hangover, I got a lot of the hangxiety as
Yeah.
there
Yeah.
it's called. You might have been the one that told me about
Yeah.
that name. That is what I hated, and that's when the way I felt the next day just was so not worth it.
Yeah.
Especially if the drinking led to me maybe saying something I wished I
Yeah.
didn't, or or
Yeah.
going somewhere I wish I did,
Yeah,
didn't
yeah,
end
yeah.
up, or something like that,
Yeah.
So
I mean, I was gonna ask you if you don't mind. The tables are turned now, and I'm interviewing you. Like, I'm actually kind of really curious. Do you think? And I mean, feel free to obviously not talk about that or edit it out, but it's your podcast. But how do you think that impacted your relationship, for example, with your girlfriend?
well, she was over the moon about it. And since then she has become my wife. So
Wait, what the hell?
you
Did you say that on a podcast? And I just like, God, I missed
you
that
should have been
episode.
listening,
Oh
motherfucker.
my God, congratulations! I didn't even know. Congrats, motherfucker! You didn't invite me to the fucking wedding. When was that? When did you get married?
We went to court and got
When
married.
did you get married?
November 26th.
November.
Yeah. It
Damn,
was fast.
you were. That's amazing. Congratulations.
Thank you. We hosted like Friendsgiving that Saturday,
Yeah.
so that was like our little celebration.
Got
or
it.
whatever. But
Nice,
yeah,
nice.
we didn't make too big a deal about it. Neither one of us are even into like wearing rings or whatever.
Yeah,
So.
yeah. That's super cute though. Well, this is this is like the typical kind of like a story arc of like a quitlet. You heard the term quitlet?
No.
It's mostly written by women, and it's just stories of like, I was an alcoholic, I was a drug addict, and everything was bad, and then I quit drinking, and then I met the love of my life, and then I got married, and now I have kids, and happily ever after. Like, that is your story arc right now. That is literally where you done. Like, you quit drinking, and 2 months later, you got married.
Now I'm good enough. Now I can do this.
I mean, that's amazing. Yeah, no, but I feel like it. I mean, at least for me personally, for my based on my personal experience, like a lot of the conflict that I had and a lot of the arguments and all the dumb shit that happened in my relationships when I was still drinking was because I was drinking. And not just me, because also my boyfriend at the time was drinking.
Yeah.
Like the drunk fights and the drunk like saying dumb shit, or maybe like just like, I don't know, not texting back or not calling back, and them not knowing where you are, or any of that. Like that just like completely
Went
sort
away.
of, yeah, it goes away, and then you just, I don't know, argue because you're still an asshole.
See, but that's
even when you're
the
sober.
thing about me is that in pretty much every relationship I've ever been in, I've never really been a yeller, whether sober or drunk. Not a yeller. I don't get into a lot of. I definitely don't get into shouting matches with whoever I'm with. But I'm also not a big fighter too. And I'm not trying to say like I just communicate and everything's fine. No, a lot of times if I'm not just logically trying to like say something, I feel like yelling means that I failed my point already. And sometimes my girlfriends hated that. They'd rather me yell and not make. They think I've gotten like women mad because they think I'm like some cerebral serial killer. Cause in the middle,
Yeah, it's like, how are you so relaxed? Like, how are you not angry? How are you not upset? Like, do you have any feelings? Do you even care if you're not showing
exactly?
emotion?
And they actually thought like, oh,
Yeah.
I obviously care about this more than
No,
you.
I've dated someone like that where I'm like, are you like, what's going on? Because this is extremely infuriating, and you're just very calm.
Yeah.
Like, do you even care?
I think it comes from the fact that I kind of shut down if I'm yelled at.
Yeah.
So I just don't do it to other people.
Fair.
And I used to.
Yeah.
But until I remember just realizing like this is a failure already. When two people yell at each other, like something's already gone wrong. So even if I was drunk, I remember my now wife, but when we were girlfriends, back when we were lesbians,
Cute.
when we were together before the marriage,
Before you transitioned.
transitioned to marriage, yes.
Nice save.
She actually like told me like oh, you're not like a bad drunk like at all. Like
That's nice.
I
That's
would
good.
get drunk and pretty obliterated sometimes.
Yeah.
But she used to tell me like, yo, you actually like hold it like pretty well. And
Yeah.
I don't think she meant like you don't look drunk. I think
Yeah.
I look drunk sober sometimes.
Yeah.
So I don't think that's what she meant.
You don't act totally out of character.
Right.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
she
yeah.
doesn't have to like really like worry about me
That's
like
good, yeah.
making a scene or
Yeah.
passing out. Like we have friends that would just pass out like literally on the middle of the floor like
Yeah.
while everyone else is still up, you know, like,
Yeah.
so I love that my friends listening know exactly who I'm talking about.
I had a friend of mine, a friend, like she was a friend of a friend, and we kind of started hanging out, and she was a complete liability whenever she would get into arguments with bouncers, bartenders. She
Yes,
would get us kicked
right.
out of places.
And
She
we
would
have
lose
that
her
friend too.
shoes.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm sorry, I can't do this. Like, you're absolutely unhinged and not in a fun
You
way.
ruin nights.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
ruin
you
shit.
ruin it because I have to worry about you. On the other hand, I have other friends who are also very unhinged and like go on side quests or whatever, but I know they don't get in trouble. They always manage to
Right,
take
right,
themselves
right, right.
home.
Mm-hmm,
And I'm like, okay,
mm-hmm.
do your crazy shit. Like, I might not see you for the rest of the night, but I know I don't have to worry about you. And I'm okay with that. Like, I'm okay with people I don't have to worry about. But
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
that sounds really like,
I was a fun drunk. Like
yeah,
I
yeah.
like we take shots. We're gonna start like riffing
Yeah.
and getting loud a bit,
Yeah.
like in a
No,
good way. Yeah,
that's
man.
good. That's good. That's a good base. That means you're just even nicer now that you don't drink.
So I have realized at work I do think that my mood has improved, and it's weird. And well, yeah, even with people sometimes.
I
Yeah.
don't even. Okay, this is for the people who just listen to the podcast. I don't know how to describe this. Like my facial expression is just like because you're so grouchy. You're like no, you're literally such a grouch. Like all I know about you, Will, and it's just like remember the story of how I met, and you were just like you were so. I don't. What's the word for it? Negative. Like that's the only way to describe it. I was like, what is wrong with this person? We're just hanging out and drinking after a wrestling match and you're just being a little bitch. Like, what are you okay? And that's like the only way I know you
Yeah.
is you just being like you just seem, I'm sorry to say, but you seem kind of miserable.
I guess.
And I know to some extent that's a persona. Like I feel like there's some of that is, that's just the quote unquote character you're quote unquote playing.
It's my gimmick.
Yeah, I think that is a little bit of just like your shtick.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the Jerry Seinfeld kind of like angry old man sort of. No, like I
At
think
at my worst, I was overtly an asshole. Like in my mid-20s, I unfortunately adopted the idea that it was cool to be a brazen asshole. Ugh. So I think it was in my 30s that I realized no, nice is better. Nice is cool.
Nice
and
is so nice.
So the funny thing is, I think when we met, I thought this is as nice as I've ever been in my life. If you would have met me like at 24, you'd be like, this guy is a piece of shit.
Oh my god, yeah, no, you're a little bitch.
Yeah. I say that about myself.
No, but I'm curious actually. So you're saying that like you feel like your mood has improved at work. Do you feel and how long has it been for you now? It's been like almost 6 months or something since like late summer.
That what?
That you stopped drinking or like
no, that was actually
cut
more
down.
of a winter thing.
A winter, okay.
Probably late October. Actually,
no, because I think you had like maybe your 1
No, you're
month
right.
or 2 months when you did the comedy show in
You're right.
September,
I
October.
think so. I know that on Halloween I was already sober.
Yeah.
So
and I think you did a comedy show maybe the week before Halloween. I think that was our
Was that
October
before?
show. So that must have been like a month or something.
I did the show before. Oh
I
wow.
think you did a show before Halloween. Yeah.
You might be right then. Damn it. So wow, it's going by faster than I even
That's
thought.
crazy.
So
Yeah.
October, November, December, at least 4 months now.
Yeah.
It's funny because I remember my first real test, I think, of my sobriety was I was still in my first month of it, and I went with all my friends to a football game in East Rutherford, New Jersey. Like, we were tailgating.
Yeah.
And I went with my friend Dave, and then we met up like probably 10 other people there. And me and Dave literally picked up a keg from a beer distributor and met everyone there. I brought with me a 12-pack of non-alcoholic beer. I drank 1 cup of the beer from the keg because I kind of felt bad that Dave was drinking by himself with this keg while cooking because no one else had arrived yet. That was the only beer I had that entire day. And I'm talking about maybe 8 hours like tailgating the entire football game, then afterwards. And that was the first time I hung out with my group of friends since I started this. And man, I can't imagine Well, I guess I can imagine now, but like I started thinking about like people that are like actually sober, like for real, like that they go hard at it and they don't drink for a long time. Like now I get why they kind of roll their eyes when they get all the same questions over and over again. And you already mentioned one of them, like, oh, when are you going to drink again? None of my friends like they were like fascinated with me, you know? It was like, it was as if they like never met me. They're like, so you're not drinking. Like as if they had to ask me in person before like it was real.
You are literally transitioning. Oh, that's so funny.
It was like the first time they saw me
so
like,
you identify as a non-drinker
they're
now?
like looking to see if
What
I
are
got
your
rid of my Adam's
pronouns?
apple. Yeah. They're like, so you're not really like it's like you're taking estrogen. Like it's basically what they wanted to say. In fact, my friends had a bet as to whether or not we would be able to finish the keg before, like by the end of the day. And they get there, and one of them the one that bet that we would finish the keg. He found when he realized I wasn't drinking, he was like, "What? You're like half the reason I put money on us killing this keg. You're costing me. You're killing me. I'm losing money on you." It's like it was as if like he bet on the team and found out like the star quarterback is out. Like you're the best player.
Did they finish the keg?
Not even close. Not even close. Even if I was drinking, I don't think we would have finished it, but I would have done some damage. Like I could have, a month before that, I would have probably drank close to 20 cups of beer, probably. Like easily a dozen, like no problem. Sidebar about not drinking. I thought that I was, this is how I knew in my head that I was getting older. I thought that I just had a shitty bladder and would have to go to the bathroom like more now that I'm in my late 30s. And then I stopped drinking so much and I don't go to the bathroom as much. And I'm like, oh,
It dehydrates
it's
you.
weird how that
who would have
happens.
thought?
I drink less.
Yeah.
And I don't go to the bathroom as often. I'm like, wow, I feel a little bit better about being older now. So
especially, but you have to do your Kegels too. You gotta do your Kegels. Yeah,
I'll start, I guess.
That's so funny.
Let's...
And do you feel like overall that like your mental health, like you said, your mood was bad? Do you feel like it's improved? Like generally, like what's your baseline like?
Yeah, I do believe so, and I'm gonna say that while opening up the. What's uma?
Ume is like, I think it's a plum. It's like a Japanese salted plum kind of thing.
So I'm gonna switch cups for this one.
Yeah. Also switch up my beer cup. I'm glad you like the hazy though. It's really good.
Oh, so I never even said what I wanted to say about IPAs. I wasn't an IPA guy when I was a drinker.
Yeah.
And now that I don't drink as often, I feel weird saying like I don't call myself sober I don't know whatever. But now that I stopped drinking as much, I find myself gravitating a little bit more to IPAs because now it's more about peculiar flavors as opposed to just like bang for your buck when we get drunk. Aplos?
Aplos? I don't know how you pronounce it. Aplos.
Oh, it's got like a cute little, just a hint of purple in there.
Yeah.
Whoops.
Oh, this one.
So yeah, in terms of like my mood.
Thank you.
So this is the weird battle that was going on.
Cheers.
Salud. So this is like an alternative to like to what? With like a seltzer-ish?
I mean this is like its own thing.
Okay.
I would say they're not trying to be like a specific cocktail. The main thing about this one is it is a functional beverage. Again, this one is infused with hemp, and it has hemp, kombucha, dandelion root, calamansi lime, sweet basil, coriander, rosemary, mint, and hemp extract. So it's supposed to like relax you basically a little bit.
I've seen that like a lot of times when a non-alcoholic drink is not trying to be a beer, and try to be more like a seltzer or whatever, there's a lot of hemp involved often.
Often, yeah. So hemp, especially like CBD, is super
Hmm.
popular. Obviously THC beverages are becoming like super, super, super popular. It's usually hemp. There's also other stuff. There's like L-theanine, GABA, 5-HTP, which is like a precursor to serotonin, so it makes you happy. There's a valerian root, which makes you fall asleep. Like it literally just knocks you out.
Does it have these effects for you?
Most of these don't. I actually talked to someone I know about this, and I gave her a drink that had ashwagandha in it, and I said, "Oh," and she's like sober, and she's like in recovery from drugs and
What
everything.
is that?
Ashwagandha,
Mm.
it's I think it's a root. I might be off. That is also just supposed to be like relaxing, helps
Okay.
with anxiety, calming. A lot of non-alcoholic drinks have ashwagandha in them. And I gave her the drink and I said, "Oh, by the way, I know you're in recovery. Like this one is ashwagandha in it, FY, in case you don't want to drink it." And she's like, "Sweetheart, I'm a real drug addict. I need real drugs. This None of this stuff does
Right.
anything
Yeah,
for
yeah, yeah.
me." And I'm kind of the same where I'm like, obviously I wouldn't call myself a drug addict, but I'm like, this is all cute, but it doesn't really do anything
I'm
for
glad you
me.
said that because I've always felt like that. Not even just in the spectrum of NA drinks, but in general, like any type of like natural supplement or
Yeah.
whatever. I've always felt like it doesn't work on me, and I never thought of it because or I never related it to like the amount of actual drugs I did.
Mm-hmm.
I actually felt like because I'm a little too much of a skeptic,
Mm-hmm.
that
Yep.
perhaps I'm counteracting whatever maybe placebo effect it might have
Yeah.
for other people. Like say, I remember when my mom gave me St. John's wort one
Yeah.
time, I think for mood. I'm like,
Yeah,
no.
depression,
Yeah, I'm
anxiety.
like when I've done SSRIs, like fucking when I've done actual antidepressant drugs, a St. John's wort, like I don't feel like that. The hell is that? I'm not gonna.
Yeah.
That's probably not gonna work. But I think it's also like had I believed in it, maybe it would have. I
Yeah,
don't know.
I think a lot of that is placebo for
Mhm.
sure. And I mean, placebo effect is real, so I don't have a problem with that, especially because they're not particularly harmful in any way. Like the worst that can happen is like, I don't know, it tastes like herbs
Yeah.
and stuff. Valerian root is pretty well known as a relaxant. It's like super popular in like German sort of natural medicine. It's like a natural remedy. But a lot of the other stuff, it's also not necessary that the substance itself is not super, really doesn't do much, but it's also sometimes just the dosage that you get in a drink like that is just like very low.
Right.
So, but honestly, I'm like, I don't know, if it tastes nice, like I'll drink it. I usually don't feel anything. The only ingredients that really do anything for me are, well, real drugs, real alcohol, um, and caffeine. Like
Yeah.
I'm super sensitive to caffeine.
Have you
So
always
like
been, or
apparently because I also stopped drinking coffee almost 3 years ago, and now when I have coffee every once in a while, I turn into a maniac. I turn into a complete maniac, which I can use to my advantage when I go out at night because I have one Red Bull and I'm up till 4 in the morning. It's phenomenal.
See, I don't fuck with Red Bull. I don't fuck with Red Bull.
So you just rather take like real drugs.
Oh well, yeah.
You're like one of those people who's like, yeah,
Red Bull.
artificial sweeteners are really bad. Like my boyfriend in college, he was like, artificial sweeteners are like really bad for you. Pass me the Coke.
Yes,
Like
that's my
like,
bit. That's the bit I used
Yeah.
at your
Yeah,
event.
yeah, but it's also like it actually
It's real life.
it's
These people.
relatable.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's literally, it's so yeah. No, I mean I have a Red Bull. Like I go out and have a Red Bull like not even once a month,
Okay.
or like a shot of espresso or something.
Red Bull is twice in my life, and both times it was with zero sleep and copious amounts of alcohol. I drank multiple cans of Red Bull to stay awake, and on two separate occasions when I mixed this stupid cocktail of activities, I my body like went into like this convulsion
Oh wow,
seizure looking
wow.
like thing.
Oh fun. Okay.
And I like
Yeah.
would end up on the floor and all my friends were like, "Did you just have a seizure?" Like, and then years later I realized like what was happening was I essentially was like depriving my brain of like so much oxygen at that moment that my body, it was like being choked out without
You're
anyone choking me
literally
out.
killing your brain
Yeah.
cells. Wow.
Yeah.
So I don't do that. As I said,
That's why I stick to Molly and shrooms and acid
yeah, I
and ketamine
usually,
and
I don't drink. I get decent amount of sleep, and then I have one kind of Red Bull when I go out. That's my approach, and that really keeps me awake and keeps me going, which is awesome. But sometimes, like, I've relapsed on coffee more times in the past 3 years since I quit drinking coffee on a regular basis. I've relapsed on coffee more than I have on alcohol. I've never relapsed on alcohol. I mean, I've had sips of alcohol, like I mentioned, but I haven't had like, my God, I
you
haven't.
haven't had
I'm
a
like,
bender.
yeah, I haven't had like, a drink of like a sip of wine, and then I'm like, I want to chug the whole glass. I'm like, ew, no. Coffee. I have one. I cannot just have one sip of coffee. That stuff is like so good. Like it just tastes so good.
So you still miss
It
coffee?
makes me feel so fucking switched on. Yeah, coffee, and I relapse on coffee like once every 2 months or so. I'm just
Okay.
like injected into my veins right now, and I won't just have like one cup of coffee. I'll have like two or three, and then I'm gonna be up all night, and it's a complete nightmare. It's not a sustainable lifestyle for me.
You taught me the term transfer addiction
Yeah, transfer addiction.
because I put something on Instagram about how
Yeah.
like I'm
Yeah,
drinking so
exactly.
much more
Yeah,
coffee now.
yeah.
So if
Just to
you're
feel something.
so if you're not allowed, yes, yeah, no, for real. That's how I feel. Like sometimes at work, I'll be like, man, I would have probably tried to sneak a shot,
Yeah.
and I'm like, let me go get
Coffee.
7 espresso shots instead.
Yeah.
If you're not a coffee drinker now, do you have a transfer addiction?
Probably my phone.
Your phone, really?
Yeah. I think that's how I get my dopamine hits nowadays. There's not much else I
Like
do.
you just do? Are you an aimless scroller on
I'm an
Instagram
aimless
or
scroller,
TikTok?
yeah. And the problem for me is I do use Instagram for my work.
Yeah.
Like I post stuff, and people
I didn't take you as a scroller.
People message me all the time. I've already have my notifications turned off, but that doesn't help actually, because that means I just check whether I got a notification.
Yeah.
It's really, really bad. And again, because I use it for work, and someone messages me, I respond to a DM on Instagram for work stuff for my business, and then I start scrolling because I'm already in the app. It's really, really bad actually. And yeah, like unlike drinking or coffee, I kind of have to use it, and I'm still trying to figure out what to do about that.
Do you ever think that third place is your transfer addiction? The growing of it?
That's very philosophical. I don't think I wouldn't call it. No, I wouldn't call it a transfer addiction. If anything, it's a distraction maybe from the thing. If that makes sense, it's like distraction from like the drinking and the partying, and it gives me meaning. And yeah, I would call it more like that. I don't think it's particularly like addictive or anything.
I only asked that because I've just I feel like you jumped in
Yeah.
2 feet in the deep
Yeah.
end when you started it. And
Yeah, head first. Yeah, it was. Yeah,
I
it
love
was
that
just
in my metaphor I said 2 feet and you're like, no, head first.
head first.
Sorry. Okay.
Into the shallow end. No, it was I just did it because it was a great distraction. It was from it is a lot easier to commit to doing something if you make it your personality, right? If you're like a runner and you always, you want to commit to running, it's easier if you join the run club and then you surround yourself. I think actually the key thing there is probably like the community. And also just like you have other people sort of holding you accountable. And that makes a big difference versus I'm not drinking and everyone around me is still drinking, and that's still my lifestyle, is still going to bars. Like if I had continued my life exactly the way I did prior to that, I think it would have been a lot harder for me. But because I sort of did a 180 and just, said like, okay, now my life revolves around not drinking and helping other people to not drink and non-alcoholic drinks and teaching cocktail classes and all that. I think it was just a lot easier for me to stick with it, have the accountability, and also it's super fun and really rewarding. And that's a nice thing. Like I have people reach out to me and say like, "Hey, Thank you so much for creating such a welcoming environment for someone like me who's in recovery. Like, I literally just had someone in my cocktail class the other day who told me he's a year sober, I think, and he brought his aunt along for as like a Christmas gift. I did the cocktail class together, and he said, "Thank you so much for, I've been following you on Instagram, and it just feels so encouraging and motivating, and you know, obviously." I would say for most people, not drinking or drinking less or being mindful drinkers is an improvement in their quality of life. And so for me, it feels really good to think that I'm contributing to that. And then I'm maybe, either planting seeds like I did with you maybe 2 years. I don't know, like, I'm actually curious, right? Like, if we hadn't had that conversation, hadn't had me just like harping on about not drinking for the last 2 years, maybe it wouldn't have been as much of like, oh yeah, this is actually an option. Maybe it wouldn't have been as like obvious or whatever accessible for you as if I wasn't there. Not that I'm not taking any credit for that.
You're taking all credit for my
I'm
greatness.
100% taking all the. I am actually taking all the credit for
I
that
see
right now.
it.
But you know what I mean, right? Like,
I'll say
feel like
this. I believe
seeing that helps.
The metaphor of implementing change is like turning a giant ship around, and for it to turn 180 degrees, it first has to turn that first degree.
Yeah. Yeah.
I do feel that you were like you had a degree change in my trajectory, which is necessary if you're ever going to change direction in any way. I mean, look, I've had a lot of people I've met in my life that changed my direction for a degree in the wrong way too, so I definitely think I'm not, my ship isn't 180 degrees turned around, but I'm facing a better direction right now. The first step that you had immense influence in is before I ever even really thought about not drinking was my outlook as a bartender on the idea of making non-alcoholic drinks for other people. It used to piss me off. I hated the person that would come in and be like,
"Can you make a mocktail?
God damn you." Yeah, I hated them. I really did. I'd be like, "Just drink, you stupid bitch." Like I immediately hate you. Like, the only people
so what you're saying is I gave you empathy.
I get, in a way. What is empathy? Like how I care about somebody else.
Damn.
And it doesn't affect me in any direct way.
Wow.
What is?
Look at you.
I started to respect it a little bit more and not having a conniption every time somebody asked. And I've yet to work at a place that has actual mocktails on the menu. So I started to just be a little bit more, I don't know, like if somebody wanted a mocktail, I wouldn't just suddenly be like, fine, and turn around and grab pineapple juice and soda and give it to them. I would actually talk to them a little bit about flavors and make them feel
welcome,
as if what I'm about to serve them is just as just as important as the other drinks that are on the table. And the moment that I felt this the most was at the cellar, actually, which is rare because I deal with a lot less customers at the cellar. Only when I'm upstairs in the cafe where you visited me will I really interact with other people. And even then, my bar is like 5 chairs. I'm more of a service bartender.
Mostly service bar,
Everywhere else I've worked, my bar was 50 bar stools of maniacs yelling at me and shit, and you coming in yelling, yeah, great. But there were these 2 people that were visiting from, I want to say maybe like Florida. I think like one was from Florida and the other one maybe, I don't know, Texas. And they met in New York. And like going to the cellar was one of like their things that they had to do or whatever. And that's the other thing too, is that when I'm bartending in the cafe and someone is there to go to a show and they've come from somewhere else, like I feel like I can't be that shitty bartender I was everywhere else, because this is part of their seller
Yeah, yeah,
experience now, you know?
100%.
Like this
Yeah.
is
It's not just a random bar, but it's a venue. Like
right.
people don't go there just to drink. People go there
They want
to
to be
see a
able to be
show
like,
and
we
it's part of
saw,
their
you know,
vacation or
Chris
part of
Rock was downstairs
yeah,
and
their
the
New York
bar
City trip.
upstairs was
Yeah,
so
yeah, yeah,
nice, you
yeah,
know,
totally.
whatever. And there's
Yeah.
these two people that just, first of all, they asked me if it was okay if they could sit at the bar
Aw.
because they're not alcohol drinkers.
Aw.
Yeah, and I was just like, of course, dude.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, like that.
When
Like,
was that when you also stopped drinking? Like after you stopped drinking, or was that before that?
it was a little bit before.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but it was I maybe a month before.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's the as close as I had been
Mm-hmm.
to like making the decision.
Mm-hmm.
And you know they wanted non-alcoholic cocktails, but they were both like they used to be heavy drinkers.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I think they even had like did drugs or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of just like they were about to just order like ginger beer, and I
Mm-hmm.
was like, no, like so I can. These are the flavors that I do have, and
Mm-hmm.
like we have this drink on the menu
Mm-hmm.
that involves passion fruit puree. It involves some jalapeno in
Ooh,
there,
okay.
and I was able to do versions of that for
Mm-hmm.
them non-alcoholic, and it just floored them. You know, they weren't
Yeah.
having that.
And,
They
and it's in those kinds of situations, it's not even necessarily about the drink itself, whether it's good or bad, but it's just about feeling acknowledged and feeling seen as a customer and as someone who is in recovery or is sober, is a mindful drinker, and actually getting that kind of feedback from a bartender who's like, no, actually I do care and I want to provide you with a good experience.
right.
That is 90% of the success. It's not necessarily about how great that drink is. Like they probably would have loved the drink even if it wasn't like a great drink, right? They would have just been like, oh my god, this is amazing. Like we're made to feel welcome in an environment that revolves around drinking alcohol, and that's incredible.
To
I'm
your
very This makes me. I'm
Well,
getting a little
there's
emotional.
There's more to the story.
Oh shit! Okay, sorry.
Because then they really pissed me off.
Oh,
and I kicked
what?
them-
Plot twist. Turns
no,
out the
I'm kidding,
sober
I'm kidding.
people were assholes.
No, not at all. I made them multiple drinks. Like they was as if we were now having a taste testing or something like
nice.
that. And I remember it was early enough. I think they were going to like one of our first shows, so I was not slammed. It was like it was as if they had their own personal bartender.
Cute.
It was
Yeah.
just the two of them sitting at the bar. It was just me. I wasn't really busy with making drinks for my servers or whatever. So I believe they definitely had at least two, maybe three different drinks that I was just kind of whipping up.
Yeah.
And I remember the woman, she's a tattoo artist, and she just like they had to go to the show, and you know I'm pretty sure I'm friends with both of them on Instagram now. They were like really nice, shook my hand, like just thanked me a lot, and then she reaches into her book bag and she pulls out this like piece of tree, like a wood that's like cut and like glossed over, and in it is a painting that she did of like one of her tattoo designs.
Okay.
And it's like glossed over or whatever, and it's like you could hang it up.
Yeah.
And it took me like a couple of months, but like once I now that I am like not drinking as much, I felt more purpose in having that hung up somewhere.
Oh.
And so now it is hanging up.
Oh, I love that.
And whenever like I see it,
yeah.
it's like a little reminder of that I'm you know, that 1 degree turn is still there, you know, like it's like, yeah, and that interaction wouldn't have happened
Beautiful.
if I wasn't at least respectful of other people's ability to not drink.
Yeah.
So when I say that you're the one that started changing at least my outlook in making these drinks, like that was that's one of like my best interactions I've ever had with a customer.
Oh, I love that.
And it was all because of my respect for the community now.
That's amazing. Yeah, I mean, as a bartender, you're a host. Like your job is hospitality, right, and making people.
And
feel
I hate
welcome.
small talk. That's still work. I'm a bartender that hates small talk. It's so
No, that's really sweet. I love that for you. I love that for you.
All right, let's try
I'm
another
actually
one of these.
surprised you guys don't have something like a phony Negroni because that's like
You know what's
such a
funny?
top seller in
The
New York
phony
City.
Negroni rep came in like
Yeah,
2 weeks ago,
that's funny.
and I was in my head. I was just like, "This will never happen." Like,
Yeah.
but the seller, it's hard to get like new stuff into
Fair,
there.
fair, because that is like such a bestseller in New York
All
City.
right, I
Like
think I
they,
want to try it.
all the places have it on menu. It is better if you have a large ice cube. It is better over
I
ice. If you have
I
a
would
large
I
rock.
would assume so.
I don't know if it's a twist off
I
or if you
doubt.
have to
Oh,
like
great.
pop it.
Let me go get
Sorry.
a bottle opener.
Okay, we're gonna edit this out.
No, you're on your own. You're.
Okay, wait, let me.
Oh no.
Hi, I'm Will Bryan and I have a giant head. Hi, I'm Will Bryan. I like football and I don't like people.
This is accurate. This is very accurate.
And I like superhero things.
That's what I say every day.
It's literally
That's
the
true.
podcast, but it's just 3 hours of that.
You bitch. Get out.
Okay.
Get out. Get back to your side.
I'm gonna edit that out.
That's a real. All right. Did you like Negronis when you were a drinker?
Yeah,
Because I
Yeah.
didn't.
I like bitter things. I liked
Camparis and Aperols.
Negronis, but I would not do like a classic Negroni with equal parts, but I would do more liquor, which is probably on
It's
brand.
three.
It's
different
usually
liquors.
it's like yeah, it's
You just want a
Campari.
double.
It's Campari, vermouth, and gin. That's
Yeah.
a classic Negroni, or whiskey if you do a Boulevardier. And usually you do equal parts, an ounce of each. But I would bump up the gin,
Gin,
usually
yeah.
to like an ounce and a half at
Well,
least.
yeah, I actually
'Cause, like,
learned how to make it with as a
more
1.5. But
Yeah.
all right, let's see. So I'm curious about this because like I said, I was not a Negroni guy.
Yeah.
I'm not a Campari or Aperol guy. I don't really like that
Fair.
bitterness.
Yeah, if you don't like the bitter stuff, this might not
But
be
we'll
your
see. Is the
favorite.
espresso in this legit espresso?
I think so. I think it even has like some caffeine in it. I
No,
don't know
we'll
if
see.
it's like declared.
Are you gonna
but
be okay?
Sure. I haven't had any coffee yet today. I saw, I think you had a coffee cup out on the counter. I was like, maybe I should have
Oh
some
yeah,
coffee.
yeah. I had 2 cups.
I'm an addict. Like, again, this is meant for sipping over like
I don't mind that.
rock.
Yeah. I actually taste the espresso in it. I think that might
Yeah.
be why I kind of like
It's
this
very coffee, and I really, really like it. They have so many different expressions. They have the regular phony Negroni, they have the mezcal Negroni, which I really don't like. They have this one. They have
one. Were you ever a mezcal gal?
not really. I'm okay with mezcal. It's legit just the mezcal phony Negroni. Sorry if anyone from Santa Grass is listening. It tastes like burnt plastic to me. It's just not great. A lot of people like it. It doesn't work with my taste buds. They have a white Negroni, which honestly to me mostly just tastes like tonic water at that point.
Yeah.
The espresso Negroni, and then they have another one that's called Amaro Falso. That's a little bit more on the Amaro side, but also carbonated. Those two are my favorites.
I remember 2 years ago when you were last here, you were saying how the NA like beer game is pretty on point, but the spirit game has like some catching up to do.
Yeah, definitely. We're getting there slowly. There has been a ready to drink Negroni that just came out that's not carbonated by a brand called Pathfinder. Remember I brought you the Pathfinder, the Amaro?
Yeah.
Dark bitter liqueur. And they just released a ready to drink Negroni. I haven't tried it yet, but that's definitely something that I'm very, very excited to try because they really know how to make things taste good.
So I like this Negroni, and I think it's smart because when last time you were here, we were like legitimately tasting non-alcoholic gin and non-alcoholic tequila.
Remember the non-alcoholic? I think I brought you the tequila, but that was spoiled.
Is
and
that
it
what
tasted like
we?
vomit.
I remember
It
we
was
weren't
so
sure.
Bad. No, I'm pretty sure it must have been spoiled because I've had that
shouldn't have
brand
clumps
after.
in it.
It was so gross. It was so gross.
All right.
It was vile. It tasted like vomit. No, it was definitely spoiled.
Unfortunately, because of that, I still like. I'm not into non-alcoholic like spirits on their own. This is the first time. This might be the first time I'm having a non-alcoholic cocktail because I don't order mocktails when I go out.
Yeah, me either. Well, I do order them for research because I post a lot about it because I know my audience likes mocktails. Personally, I'm not a mocktail drinker. I'm
Oh, I did not know that about
no,
you.
I don't I
You're
I'd say
teaching classes on mocktails.
90% of the time when, yeah, but remember we talked about this. Like when I was still
Yeah,
drinking,
yeah,
I would drink tequila sodas. Like
yeah.
I just drink liquor. I wouldn't necessarily, or
I
I
don't know
would
why that
drink,
just made me so happy
I
again.
would have just
Yeah.
drink, or I would just drink beer. But I wasn't a big cocktail drinker to start with. When I was still bartending, I was not a cocktail bartender. I was working at a shitty pub.
Makes
So like
sense. I'm not a cocktail. I wasn't a cocktail drinker
yeah,
either,
like
so it makes sense that I wouldn't want
most of the
mocktails.
mocktails that I order, I kind of do for research
Research
purposes
purposes,
and to
yeah.
like share it with my audience because I know they really like mocktails.
So if you're going out and it's not a third place event, you know, it's not a mocktail class or whatever. Let's say you're just going out to a bar with friends or a show, you would order the non-alcoholic beer, or do you just do water?
Shows, I would probably get beer. Sometimes it's an energy drink. A lot of times
Oh
it's
yeah,
just water.
really?
Like I like my waters. Sometimes if they have like kombucha or something on a menu, I do like kombucha every once in a while. But a lot of times it's just water, seltzer.
The
I'm okay with that. You know what? You know, the one thing that we as a society, as a species, need to realize that it's okay to just drink water. You don't always have to have like
I'm
a
bad.
flavored
I don't
drink.
really drink that much
Like if you
water.
go out to a bar, if you go out to a restaurant, sure, like drinks can enhance your experience, but you can also just drink water. It's fine. I drink a
Yeah.
lot of water. The other thing actually that's I started doing like sometime last year, which I actually really, really like, is drinking tea.
Hmm.
So a lot of times when I'm out somewhere, especially if I'm like going to a restaurant, especially in winter when it's cold out, I just order a cup of tea to start with. Or bars that do like, you know, coffee and tea during the day, I have a cup of tea. And that's actually it sort of almost satisfies the need to have something that I can sip. Where, you know, with water, it's like it's not flavored, you can't really sip it, it's not nice. Tea still feels like a little treat.
I'm
Because
just
you
not a
get
tea guy.
fair, yeah. I lived in England for 5 years, so I was like huge
Oh, yeah.
on, and I'm also German. We're big on herbal teas, like herbal teas, as you people say here. We're big on like herbal teas, fruit teas, and then in England, I drank a lot of like obviously just English breakfast or I like Earl Grey. And to me, especially if I get like an Earl Grey, and I know it's got caffeine, but that doesn't really do much. It's mostly the coffee that really hits for me. If I get an Earl Grey with like some milk and sugar, that's a nice little treat for me, and I will have that at a bar, and I don't care.
Uh-huh.
So tea, funny enough, is a pretty good alternative actually to cocktails for me because again, like you sort of get into like the slow sipping mode rather than it's just like a giant like pint of water.
I wonder if, because there's been times lately with my new transfer addiction to coffee that I've had so much that I feel random anxiety for
Yeah.
no
Oh, coffee
reason.
makes me so anxious.
Hmm.
Coffee makes me a crazy person, like certified insane.
I've had a couple of cups of
Batshit.
decaf since then
Mm-hmm.
that I've never in my life drank
Yeah.
decaf. I'm the type of guy like, what's the point of
Yeah.
decaf? And then now suddenly I am. So I'm wondering if look, now it's brand new horizons for
Yeah.
Will. I never thought I would stop drinking,
I
and
love
now I
that for
am.
you. I love it.
So like, there's a part of me that even though I just told you like I'm just not a tea guy, I wonder if I'll get to a point where I need a break a little bit from so much coffee, and that I'll adopt tea. Like
Yeah.
I used to be like, there's no way. Now I'm like, I might be a tea guy down the
Yeah.
road. I never
You
know.
might go through a whole evolution. Like honestly, and for me, I do drink decaf. I love decaf. Like decaf, maybe my transfer addiction is decaf.
Really? Just for like the
Yeah.
flavor?
Yep,
Or-
just for the flavor. And again, like placebo effect also has a
Yeah.
tiny amount of caffeine still.
Oh yeah,
So I think like even just the tiny amount of caffeine like helps me feel like a little switched on.
sure.
But I can have like two cups of decaf or something. I'm like it feels like it's placebo effect probably. But also like part of drinking anything really is the ritual.
Yeah.
Like I'm sure like I don't know if that's like you wake up in the morning, you make a cup of coffee, you sit down, whatever it is you're doing, or you getting into work, you're making a coffee, right? Like a lot of the reason why that feels so good is because it's the ritual, because
Yeah.
you're feeling like it's like your routine or your a little treat or whatever it is. So and I always say this is like super corny, but I always say it doesn't really matter what's in your glass or your cup. Like a lot of it is about just the ritual itself and feeling like you're doing something for yourself or you're treating yourself. And yeah, I mean, I'm also just like I drink everything. I'm just put something in front of me, I'll drink it. It's fine. Like whether that's like tea, coffee, matcha. I like matcha. Matcha has become a little bit of a thing for me too, to like make matcha in the morning instead of coffee.
Hmm.
Um, I don't know. Yeah, anything. I'll just drink it. But yeah, maybe you're a tea
I'm not
person
at the
then.
place yet where
Yeah.
like I'm cool with just water. Like
Yeah.
I still want like the
Yeah.
non-alcoholic beers or
Yeah.
whatever. It's funny. I go back to that tailgate party that I had with all my friends when I just embarked on this sober journey of
Mm.
mine. And they were, still so shocked and confused, and um, it was as if they were seeing a unicorn. And they would always ask like, "So, do you think you're never gonna drink again?" And I'm like, "I don't know, like probably will, like I probably will, but like I don't know, like." And they'd want to know when do you think you'll do? Like I don't fuck motherfucker, I don't know when I'm gonna want to do it, like shit. But they were all obliterated.
Mm.
They're all drunk, And I remember after the game, we're back at the tailgate drinking some more. They were there. I was still cracking open my non-alcoholic
Yeah.
beers. And I remember at one point, one of my friends turns around to me. He's having a blast. The Jets won the game, which never happens. And he just turns to me and he goes, "Yo, Will, does it feel good like that you could have just as good a time with us and not drink?" And I was like, "I'm not having as good a time. What you're so drunk you don't realize it, but I'm not like I wish I was drunk. I don't want to be. I wish I was drunk, but I don't want to be drunk." And
Yeah.
I just had to be like,
That's my life. Yeah.
I had looked at him. I was like, you drunk moron. I'm not having that. You're much fun. If there was someone looking at both of us right now, they'd be like, one of them's having a lot of fun right now. You idiot. But he was so drunk that he didn't realize like I wasn't having a bad time.
Yeah.
But like I've never gone to a sporting event and paid that much attention to the game.
Yeah.
I knew exactly what was going
Yeah,
on. That
yeah.
never happens to me. Ever. I'll walk out of the game and be like, who won?
Yeah.
I'm the guy that I never even get to my seat because I go to get a beer to the bathroom. Beer, bathroom, beer, bathroom. I didn't get up from my seat a single time.
Wow.
The entire halftime event. I'm just watching the halftime competition. I'm watching a fan run a relay race like, oh, he almost got that one. Wow. No one else
Everyone
knows.
else is like, what the
Gone.
fuck is
Everyone's
going on?
gone. In the third quarter, I'm like, you know what, coffee would be really nice right now, and I didn't get up at all, and then all I hear is like my friends around me like, and all I could think is, my friends are really annoying. But if I was drunk right now,
Yeah.
I'd be with him going,
You would also be annoying.
yeah, and then the gall of this guy to turn to me and be like, "Hey, you're having just as much fun." Like, no, I am not. Like, you don't remember the 2 times you tried to put your finger up my butt? He's like, "I did that." He's
Plot
like,
twist.
"Yeah."
What? Okay,
He's like,
tell me
"Oh,
more about
I
that,
do,
Will.
I do that shit when I'm drunk. I do gay shit." Yeah, we were walking out. He just fucking, instead of like, sometimes he likes to like slap asses.
Oh,
like,
is he gay?
closeted, I think.
I mean,
you know?
yeah. That sounds
I think he does it in
No
like
homo.
so he grew up in Long Island where like white bros love to do that on like the football field, or like he's a volleyball player, so maybe he is gay.
That is really good.
Yeah, super gay. But there's nothing wrong with that. But like, so he'll give me like a fucking annoying ass spank every now and then, and he has these huge like fucking
Yeah.
hands. But he was so drunk that he didn't spank me. He just took like 2 fingers and he just tried to like give me a proctal like exam. And I turn around
Like
and
that was at the football game.
as we were lining out in the like stadium, he just, for no reason. It's not like we
Well, maybe
were
it's
having
to
a
learn about
conversation about it. He does not not with me.
That's
And he just goes right, and then I turn around and like I push him angrily, and he's like, yeah, he pissed, and then walks away, and I'm like, why would I not be pissed? And I remember just thinking like, God damn it, I wish I was drunk.
I'm sorry you were sexually assaulted. That is not fun. Damn. Well, but it's also, I mean, it's a good thing that you were sober and you're aware of that now.
If I was drunk, I would have enjoyed it.
Fair.
Not
Okay,
about
maybe
that.
there's something you need to explore.
I'm also closeted, is what I'm trying
Fine.
to say.
Fine, aren't we all?
Oh man. But I was smoking weed the entire time.
Yeah.
I was curious. Oh,
Do
there
you,
was
do
this.
you think do you think that's a transfer addiction for you? Do you feel like you're
Well,
smoking
that was
more
just a
now?
constant. Oh, more? I was gonna
But-
say to transfer, I would have had to have like not
Just-
smoked before, but like
But like, yeah, but do you feel like you kind of like moved your
no, I don't think I smoke more to be honest with you, but only because I always smoked a lot. So it's really hard
impossible to actually
It'd
do
be
more.
really hard, unless I was smoking while working.
Yeah.
Then no, because like yeah, when I wake up, like I'll have a joint when I wake up. Not maybe not a full
Smoke
joint,
to
but
joints in the morning.
Yeah.
Smoke to joints at night.
I'm on some Santeria type shit. But like I'll smoke before work, on my way to work, on my way from work. I'm a pretty good functioning high, like
That's
that's
good,
just
that's
my
good.
my thing. Like I don't get high and like shut down or whatever, stuff like that. So no, I don't think I upped it. But I was the reason I even brought up weed again was because there's this moment when you were so kind enough to have me on your comedy show. Towards the end, I remember I was looking in my book bag to pull out a joint that I was gonna smoke immediately after, and she was just like, you were just like you were just like, oh my God, like you like reek of weed now.
You
And I'm
did.
like- So I actually have a question. The non-alcoholic community, which by the way, quick sidebar, I, as someone who sees multiple comedy shows as a job, essentially, like I've seen hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of comedy shows. The crowd at your show felt like one of the nicer crowds that I've been around.
Yeah.
And I wonder if that's if it's something about the community, the idea that they're all sober, the idea that perhaps they've all gone through something to get there. Because it was the first time that I've been on stage, and like I usually see people like sitting and like waiting to judge. At your show, it felt like everyone was like, "You got this."
Aww.
Come on. And I remember
We're
like
rooting for you.
yeah, and I remember doing some jokes, and like there were some people laughing. And usually, like a lot of times when I'm on stage, I adopt this feeling of like me versus you. I'm gonna get you, and I don't mean like I'm gonna do crowd work and like insult you. Like no. By my getting you is you're gonna laugh.
Yeah.
But I see it as like it's my challenge to do it. And within my first joke
Yeah.
that I dropped there, that versus mentality went away.
No, it's like teamwork because
Yes.
they're there, like my crowd and my community, they're there to laugh. They want to have a
Yeah.
good time, and they're excited to see who we brought on.
I got that when I realized
Yeah.
that there was someone like front and center.
Yeah.
And she had been there at multiple events in a row for you
yeah,
guys.
I think that was Frida probably. Like my
Hi, Frida.
Yeah. Hi, Frida. Yeah, no, it's definitely. Oh yeah, I remember because it was the show before Halloween because Frida was dressed up as a
Yes,
skeleton.
the skeleton.
Yeah,
I
skeleton
remember
Frida.
specifically like
Yeah.
she's really nice.
Exactly. No, it's. I mean, they're also, to be fair, they're also friends of mine who I intentionally put in the front row because I know
Got
they're
it.
nice.
Yeah.
But no,
plant.
I mean, this is also. I think that's just generally like any kind of comedy show that's hosted for a specific community. I think it's not just like sober people, but I think it's really because we don't have any big names necessarily, so it's not like the people are just sitting through like the warm up in order to like then see the big
headliner,
name,
right.
the headliner. And B, also like, yeah, it is a community thing, and everyone is there to have a good time, and everyone's there to support each other because they feel like they're part of a group. And I don't think necessarily that has to do with like people who don't drink. That could also just be like, I don't know, the local book club or something. Like the book club is running its annual like comedy show or something, or talent show. Like people would probably be really supportive there too.
You're probably right
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Because I've noticed, like, whenever you get a group of people with a common interest,
Yeah.
they're usually just
Supportive.
nicer and
Exactly.
supportive.
Exactly.
Yeah. Even if it's like a death metal show. I swear to God, like, sometimes the people in those moshes are the nicest damn people. They'll
Yeah.
pick.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah,
Oh, no,
yeah.
you have to, like, people in mosh pits have to be nice because
Yeah.
otherwise everyone will just, like, die.
Right, yeah.
Like, no,
Exactly.
straight up.
There's
like,
always that big dude that looks like really scary, but he's actually like policing everybody.
No,
to
no,
make
no. They
sure-
have to. Like, metal
Yeah.
shows, there's rules.
Yeah.
Because otherwise it would be really freaking dangerous.
Yeah, yeah.
No, people are nice. And there's, like, always, like, a couple of people who don't play by the rules and they will get called out
Yes.
and they will be put aside.
It's a self-policing
no,
mosh.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Mosh pits function better than society, I would say.
Like this next drink goes out to all the
Ooh.
mosh police that are.
Which one are we cracking open? The beer or the
let's see.
THC drink?
Well, I'm not gonna make you drink a THC drink. All
Let's do the beer then.
right, let's do the Electro Lime.
Electrolyte.
This one I'm pretty sure I've had before at my local bar.
Nice.
Which actually has a. The cool thing about living in
Switch back to
a place that tries to be as trendy as Bushwick is that a lot of the bars realize the trend of NA lifestyle.
Yeah.
What is, dude? Why do you think it's? I read that it might have been through one of your links, but I read that it's young people that are the biggest adopters of the NA lifestyle.
Cheers.
So,
I have the answer for you. And it's not the answer a lot of people want to hear.
okay.
So the official answer, and I was literally on CBS News and like the reporter asked me that question. And I said, well, I think Gen Z, they're just like, there's a more open conversation about health and wellness and mental health and the impacts of, any kinds of substance of mental health, whatever. Sure. But I also think the real answer to that question.
Oh, I'm getting the non-CBS.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, the real answer why Gen Z drinks less alcohol is legal weed.
Oh, wow.
Like,
really?
Yeah.
You think that's
Yeah.
it?
I actually read it's something like 69%, which is actually kind of funny. 69% of people who identify as Gen Z.
I'm like, why is that funny? It took me a while. Got it.
69% or whatever, 70%.
420%.
Yeah, exactly. 420% of people who identify as Gen Z prefer weed or THC products over alcohol.
If I had to choose, I would 100% choose. I would 420% choose weed over alcohol too. So.
420. And so this is like a whole another podcast episode, I think, because like, I have a position where people, I wouldn't necessarily like look up to me for an opinion, but where people do ask me for my opinion. And while I definitely do believe that as far as harm reduction goes, THC is probably safer, right? There's no drunk driving. People aren't necessarily aggressive. Like domestic violence when people smoke weed is probably not necessarily a huge issue, right?
You don't get hungover.
Yeah, you don't get also from a personal perspective, like you don't get hungover. You're probably less likely to do dumb shit because you're probably more likely to just do nothing.
Yes.
So like weed is pretty good at preventing people from doing dumb shit because it just makes them do nothing. So like overall, that's probably a good thing. However, and I actually just talked about that with my half sister literally yesterday or a couple of days ago. She works in psychiatric hospital. She's a music therapist, so she kind of does like different stations. She did like the geriatric wing like for a while, worked with old people, but she also works with young people sometimes. And she said she's seen an increase in people being admitted with like psychosis and severe mental health crises because of weed, because it was also legalized in Germany. So if you look at the research, and this is like, I glanced at it, so don't necessarily quote me at it, but there, especially for people with this is actually kind of hilarious, with a frontal lobe that isn't fully developed. So I know we always talk about frontal lobes. But for people like
I don't think I've
under,
ever mentioned frontal lobe on my
yeah,
show
I
before.
feel like that's like, it's like on the internet. People on the internet talk a lot about like fully developed frontal lobes and Gen
Okay.
Z and everything.
Don't
But
women develop it faster than men or
yeah,
something like that?
yeah,
Yeah.
women are, but yeah,
That's
exactly.
why you guys are
So
better.
women at like 25 are basically fully formed, whereas men, like it takes them until their late 20s something. But
What
anyway,
I'm
so
hearing is that women peak at 25
uh
and men.
just never
Hey.
probably. um but basically, if your frontal lobe isn't fully developed, if you're in your early 20s or you're like your teens even or early 20s, you might actually be more susceptible to developing things like schizophrenia, psychosis
Jeez.
from weed, because again, it is a psychoactive substance,
Mm-hmm.
and as you mentioned, even caffeine gives you anxiety, right? So what makes us believe that we can consume as much as we want of a psychoactive substance that does something in our brain without ever having any negative side effects? Like, it's kind of a non-brainer. That's a good joke. It sort of makes sense. Like any psychoactive substance, if you consume a lot of it at some point, is going to do something. And especially if your brain is still developing, you're more susceptible to developing psychological issues from that. Also, apparently, this is like a complete sidebar, and feel free to edit this out. Do you know Princess Nokia, the rapper?
No.
She was like pretty, I wouldn't say like big, kind of. I think she came up around the same time as like Aquafina in like early 2010s, 2014, 15, something like that. She's
Okay.
like kind of like funny, and she just like funny word plays and quirky stuff.
Aquafina rapped?
Aquafina was a rapper. Yeah, that's how she started out. You don't know New York City, bitch?
No.
Oh my God, Aquafina is such a New York City bitch. That's where I come from, not where I moved to on mom and dad's trust fund. She has like a whole thing about like the Greenpoint, where all the bitches look like Lena Dunham, which really dates it
Yeah.
to like early
Girls was
2010s
out.
exactly.
Nice.
It's a great. No, she had like a whole album
Oh,
out. That's
okay.
how she started out. Yeah, it's
That
like a
makes
kind
now
of
I
comedy
understand.
rapper kind of
Now I
thing.
understand the name a little bit more.
Yeah. So Princess Nokia kind of the same, and I think she might
Mm-hmm.
also be from New York City. Anyway, but she literally just posted on her Instagram, I think, that she was admitted to hospital with something, I can't remember the name of the condition, but she was admitted to hospital with seizures
Oh, maybe she had a Red Bull.
because she had been smoking too much weed over the past 20 years and
Really?
basically just had like a shock reaction to the amount of THC she was consuming, which again makes sense. I mean, you can overdose on water if you drink too much water, so you know so yeah, she basically said like, I am going to actually cut out my THC consumption. So all that is to
Yeah,
say,
she's talking about going through withdrawal right now.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So all that is to say, we can't just think that we can consume as much of the psychoactive substance as we want without ever having any harm to that. THC is not harmless. It will do something to you. And especially obviously if people are smoking it, like you're still smoking something, which is also not great for your lungs. Um, and that's something that I find maybe just a little bit concerning,
Mm-hmm.
especially for younger people. And I'm turning 40 this year, so I'm like going into full on mom mode here. But I do think that people think that THC is completely harmless,
Sure.
because it is legal. I mean, in the same way as alcohol is legal, I guess. And consume it without necessarily sort of being mindful about it again or evaluating like what it does to them or what it could potentially do. So that's an interesting development. I
It sounds
think
like you're
that's
worried about the Gen
a
Zers.
little bit, a little bit. Like I mean, for multiple reasons. Again, like that it might really worsen or trigger some existing mental health conditions that people might have, and at the same time, I don't think it's necessarily great, especially as a younger person, to go through your life just stoned all the time and
Mm,
high. I think having clarity is actually extremely helpful in, understanding yourself, understanding your environment, understanding the people that you're around. Like you said, like you were around your friends and they were super drunk and you realize like, they're acting stupid, things like that, or even just
Yep.
making important life choices. Like a lot of times it is better, and I understand that we are living in a freaking Black Mirror episode right now, and getting stoned and getting high is extremely attractive. um but I think it's just something to consider, in the same way as with alcohol. And I never preach like full abstinence, or everyone has to be like totally sober, but I think being very intentional and being mindful about it, rather than like, just smoking weed or doing edibles because they're there. I think it's actually really, really important. And I feel like that's missing right now, where it's like, because weed is legally available, it is in those THC beverages, it's in edibles, it's like candy basically, and you just take it. Um, but I feel that having the clarity, being sober for at least certain parts of your life, and being very intentional about when you use substances, and why and how, um, will probably in the long term lead to, I'd say, I don't want to say like a better life, but probably long term more sustainable lifestyle,
Do you
if
do
that
you
makes
find
sense.
that most of the people that are attending your events are also non-smokers? What's their
That I don't actually know. I know a lot of people, part of my audience are like Cali sober.
okay? Which
Um,
is like just
they
not drinking,
they
right?
don't drink, but it's just people who don't drink, mostly don't take any other substances, and might just like be smoking weed or taking edibles or THC beverages and stuff. Um, and again, I think especially for adults, like for people who are like in their 30s, 40s, like fine.
Mm-hmm.
If you're mindful about it. And I do think, and this is just me kind of like making things up, but I would just maybe think that people who are sober, like who don't drink alcohol, who consume THC, are maybe, possibly, hopefully, a little bit more mindful about when they use THC too. Whereas I think for people in their 20s, maybe again, like you grew up with legal weed and smoke shops everywhere. I think it's a lot easier to just consume it without even thinking about it, because it's just such a part of your lifestyle. Kind of like we were drinking in our 20s, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or 30s, where it's like you just drink because it's there. Of course you do it. And yeah, I think I'm a little concerned about that. But for my audience, like I don't actually know. I think people probably lean towards being like sober if they're sober. Um, but
So
I don't
so I have a
actually know.
legitimate question.
Yeah.
As if all the questions before this were illegitimate.
Now we're actually talking about
Now
the
is the
real
real
stuff.
shit.
Everything else before that we're gonna edit out actually.
But no, I've wondered if because I've never been to a strictly non-alcoholic bar.
Mm-hmm.
Like Hecate is the one you talk
Mm-hmm.
a lot about. So I've never been to a place like that. Only places that serve non-alcoholic drinks
Mm-hmm.
as well as regular alcoholic
Mm-hmm.
drinks. Would it be like I said, I smoke all the time. Would it be like disrespectful of me to like smoke a joint and then walk right into Hecate for some drinks?
I think some people actually do that. I mean,
Hmm.
I think in general, just smoking outside of business and then walking right in,
Well, I don't
like
mean
right
that, but
after, is kind of
no, I mean like if I'm
just
having a,
blowing some like weed smoke in there is kind of a
I mean
little
if I
weird.
come in and I
And you're stoned.
smell like I
Yeah.
had a joint on the way there.
I don't think it's too crazy.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I don't run the business, but for me personally, for um like if that was like if I was hosting an event, I would be like, yeah, whatever, I don't care. I think again, I mean, it's also to me to some extent, this sounds a little bit like, you know, taking the what's the word, I'm on a high horse here.
Hmm.
um it's I provide a space for people to explore sobriety, to feel safe as in an alcohol-free space where it's just taken out of the equation, a substance-free space, whatever it is. And to me, if someone doesn't really use that opportunity but decide to like get high in some other way instead, it's almost like a wasted opportunity to really explore socializing in an alcohol-free and substance-free space, if that
Hmm.
makes sense. I'm like, do whatever you want, but this is actually an opportunity to explore what things could be like if you were completely sober and there's no alcohol, you don't have to like, try and find a non-alcoholic drink on the menu, but there's just no alcohol there at all. Everyone else around you doesn't drink. Most other people are probably also not high or whatever, right? It's actually like a phenomenal space. Like it's a great opportunity. It's a great space for people to explore like socializing while completely sober, and like a safe environment. And I'm like, if you don't want to use that opportunity, that's on you. Like you're almost like missing. It's almost like you're missing out on an opportunity to explore that side of life and socializing. So I sound a little bit like, it sounds a little snooty, but I hope you know
Long
what I
as you
mean.
hear
It's
it.
like, well, so I'm providing the space, and if you're not using the opportunity, that's your problem. No, but I hope you get what I'm
That's
saying.
what I'm
Where
clipping
I'm like,
and putting out,
where I'm
by the way.
where I'm saying it's not of my business as long as you interact with people in a friendly and polite and respectful manner. I straight up don't care. If you come in reeking of alcohol, that's weird.
Well, that's different, right?
Yeah, that's different. But also at the same time, honestly, especially at a sober bar, at something like Hecate, if people go out maybe and have 2 or 3 drinks and then they're like, I don't want the night to end, but I don't want to drink anymore, and they come to Hecate, hell yeah.
Okay.
Right? And that's exactly why I started Third Place Bar, because I wanted to have that space that feels like a bar. It's not a membership thing. It's not like Soho House. It's not whatever it is, right? It's just like a bar. You can do the exact same thing. You can go there on a date. You can go there after dinner, whatever it is. The night doesn't have to end.
Right.
But there's just no alcohol.
That's a great point, because as you were talking, I thought to myself, man, the audacity to walk into a non-alcoholic bar like Hecate already drunk.
Yeah.
Like, but then you actually just painted a scenario where that actually sounds like a
if you're
great
as long as
idea.
you're respectful, that is, and that might be the problem, because a lot of people who might be drunk, like actual drunk walking into a sober bar might be a problem, right? And that's why you go to sober bars, because you don't have people like that around. But if you've had a couple of drinks and you're perfectly reasonable and polite and whatever, and then you're like, I don't want the night to end, but I don't want to be at like a loud like dive bar with drunk people around me, I'm going to a sober bar and I'm gonna have a non-alcoholic drink or a cup of tea. They also do tea at night. Like hell yeah, right? It's literally like, that's harm reduction.
Yeah,
That is
right,
harm
right.
reduction, like IRL.
It's actually very responsible.
It's extremely responsible, and that's why we need spaces like that. And that's why we need spaces like alcohol-free spaces that don't revolve around recovery, AA, all the sad stuff. That's why we need alcohol-free spaces that are they're just alcohol-free. That's the only thing. But they're still welcoming to everyone else. Like, you don't have to talk about sobriety. You don't have to talk about the fact that you, whatever, like, tanked your relationship and your wife and your kids hate you, whatever. It is literally just a space that happens to be open late, that feels like a bar where you can hang out and socialize, and no one asks questions, and there's just no alcohol around, and you don't feel like you should be drinking because it's a bar. And I think that's just what we need more of.
I wanted to mention what you have going on in February, and some of these opportunities you're giving to people to hang out in places like this. The first thing I thought that was pretty interesting, you're sending out mocktail packages to people interested in them, or are you
Well, this is like, I don't know if you're referring to the Valentine's Day thing we're doing. Yeah. So this is just a special collaboration with this guy Chris, who runs a pizza place called Bad Cholesterol, which is hilarious. He's in downtown Brooklyn, and he delivers around that neighborhood, and also to Talea, the beer place.
Yeah.
In downtown Brooklyn. So if you order pizza at Talea, it comes from his kitchen.
Okay.
And he just approached me, I think because I don't know how he found me. Like, there's an overlap between hospitality, and he also doesn't drink. He used to be a lawyer, and then he started a pizza place. He's super cool. And we already did that for New Year's Eve, for basically for people who want to stay home on New Year's Eve. He delivers food. Well, he doesn't deliver it, but he prepares food that people can than just have at home, like a meal kit. And he just approached me and said, "Hey Sam, do you want to throw in like a little cocktail making kit or like mocktail kit?"
Oh.
So we're basically doing the same thing for Valentine's Day for everyone who wants to stay home, have a cozy night at home, either alone or with their friend, roommate, Galentine's partner, BFF, cat, whatever. And it's like 2 pizzas, a salad, heart-shaped cookies, and a mocktail making kit.
Oh, that's I didn't know it actually came with the entire
Yeah.
meal too.
Yeah,
Do
it's
you
a
know
whole
what
thing.
mocktail you're
Yeah,
providing?
I'm being a little lazy. I'm doing the same thing as for New Year's Eve, just
Which was
because we
that?
also have some product left. We're doing a French 75.
Oh, that's a
So French
a
70,
mock
yeah,
French
a
75.
mocktail French 75. So it's going to be 2 cans of a non-alcoholic sparkling white wine, a botanical spirit that's called Pentire. That's a little bit like a gin, I would say. Uh, Obviously simple syrup and lemon. And then also a tiny baggie that looks so sketch of edible gold glitter.
Gold what?
Gold glitter.
Oh, gold
Yeah,
glitter.
edible
Wow.
gold glitter.
Okay,
Yeah,
nice.
so people can like sprinkle it in, but it literally just looks like a sketchy little baggie.
From the downtown
Yeah,
Brooklyn pizza
from the
shop.
downtown Brooklyn
That
pizza shop, and it
is
will actually the baggie will be under a slice of salami on the pizza.
Jesus.
Yeah, it will be hidden. No, it won't be. It will
Sam,
be part of the kit.
what are you getting yourself in? This is you Breaking Bad right now.
Yeah,
This is your Walter White
Breaking Bad.
moment.
But with edible glitter. Did I tell you I did a bump of edible glitter the other day?
Who are you?
Okay.
There was a moment that I realized, oh, I might this non-alcoholic thing might actually I might be making some traction with it. I don't know if you want it anymore. I poured
I'm
myself
good,
some
thank you.
more IPA. There was a moment where I was
Did some damage here.
there was a moment where I was at work
Mm-hmm.
and I was craving
Mm-hmm.
a non-alcoholic beer specifically instead of just a beer.
Mm-hmm.
And like when I had some non-alcoholic beer at home because like for the first time ever I bought a 6-pack of Heineken Zero.
Mm-hmm.
And when I got home, I opened up the Heineken Zero, and the moment I heard that,
Yeah.
I immediately just started getting a and then I drank it, and I had this like just the same type of relaxing effect that I would get from when I would
Yeah.
open a regular beer.
That's been studied. Like that's actually been studied, like the placebo effect or like the dopamine hit you get, especially like specifically for non-alcoholic beer. If you look at people's brain waves, like people who drink alcohol, whether you open a regular beer or a non-alcoholic beer, because it smells the same, right? And because you crack open the can and the first sip like is basically exactly the same. Like you might notice it like, you know, the aftertaste or whatever it is, right? But like the smell and when you sip it, it's exactly the same thing. And you see the same spike of like dopamine. Like
I
the
believe
hit
it
is
because I
exactly
felt
the
it.
same. Yeah.
That's when I thought that for sure I was like, oh, this I can like not like I can do this, but like it might work for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, it's so much of it is about the ritual. So much of it is about the I'm sitting down with a beer or a glass of wine and it's not necessary. Because like, especially the first 10, 15, 20 minutes, you're not going to feel the alcohol
Sure.
if you're drinking alcohol,
Of
right?
course, yeah.
But you're already happy the
Happy.
first 10,
Yep.
15, 20 minutes before the alcohol even kicks in.
Absolutely.
So it is really like that part that you can pretty
Sometimes
easily
that's the best
recreate.
part is like when you sit down with your friends and you crack it open and the
Yes,
first cheers. Like, That's
exactly.
like that. You peaked.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, or you're like at a barbecue, right?
Yeah.
And you're cracking open a beer, or it's a hot day, you're coming back home, or you're going whatever. You're going to a bar, it's super hot outside, you get a nice cold beer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I never thought about it, but man, the best part of every beer might be opening it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not even
The
like drinking
first
it. Might just
sip,
open
man.
it. Yeah.
The first
yeah.
sip. No one's ever had like the second half of the beer. Like that is not the right. That's not the
I
best
got to
part.
the good part now.
Yeah, finally.
I
It's
just
been
have
sitting
to-
here open for 20 minutes.
It's like wine. You have to let it breathe. It's gonna settle so nicely. How about the event on the 15th? Love AF.
yes. So
What-
Love AF.
I didn't know if you were saying as fuck or
It's a word play.
Oh.
So AF stands for alcohol free.
oh.
Yeah, but also Love AF, like
Got
love
it.
as fuck. Yeah.
I didn't
Yeah.
get that.
Yeah. It's so clever.
Right.
Um,
It's so smart that
too smart for
simpletons like me.
too
Yeah,
smart for you.
I know.
Yeah, but it's like AF is something that people, especially like in the non-alc community, love to use AF because it's a good
Oh,
wordplay.
I'm
Because it
just
means AF,
learning
alcohol
NA.
free.
I just got used
Yeah,
to NA. Now you're
yeah,
throwing AF.
yeah. No, there's more. There's more. Actually,
This
I
is
don't know
like
if there's more.
LGBTQ plus
Yeah, exactly. It's like you have
IA.
to
I'm like,
learn
all right,
the language.
NAAF
Yeah, there's
plus.
more. There's a what's it called? Equally attractive non-alcoholic beverage. That's a thing. EANBA, I think that's a thing, or just adult non-alcoholic beverage. So ANBA. That's a thing.
What is the difference between that and what we're doing?
No, these are equally
Oh,
attractive. These are
got it.
the whole concept is like, because I mean, there's non-alcoholic beverage and then there's non-alcoholic adult beverages, right? A Coke is a non-alcoholic beverage. Seltzer
I
is a
see what you
non-alcoholic.
mean.
Water is a
Got it.
non-alcoholic
Yeah,
beverage.
yeah.
So oftentimes when you hear that like non-alcoholic beverage are like $1 billion industry, they lump in the sodas.
Oh, that's so you
Yeah.
lying pieces
Yeah,
of
and it's like, yeah, of course,
you
like
lying sober pieces
people
of shit.
love non-alcoholic beverages, right?
Coca-Cola.
So we like to distinguish between that and adult non-alcoholic beverages, which are basically alcohol replacements or alcohol substitutes, so non-alcoholic beer, non-alcoholic wine, non-alcoholic cocktails, functional cocktails. So there's a little bit of a differentiation, and I really love the term equally attractive non-alcoholic beverage or equally attractive adult non-alcoholic beverage, because it's basically sort of a mindset for example, when you're hosting or you're having an event, you're producing an event, you want equally attractive, like as attractive as the regular alcoholic drinks. So for example, if you have, you work at a bar, that's kind of something that's actually super relevant for you as a bartender, right? If you work at a bar, you want to have equally attractive non-alcoholic beverages. If your non-alc menu is basically
EANB.
equally attractive non-A
Jesus Christ.
ENAP.
Okay.
ENAP.
Work on that one, guys.
If your non-alcoholic beverage menu is just like tea, coffee, soda, ginger beer, that's not equally attractive. If you also serve craft cocktails and craft beer and whatever, right? Like you want something that's equally attractive for adults. So yeah, that's a review. Anyway, back to
love alcohol free.
Love AF.
So many equally attractive drinks.
So many equally attractive drinks and equally attractive people.
They're all equal. No one will be hotter than anyone else.
Everyone is equally attractive.
Equal.
A solid 8.5.
Pick one and hit on them. They're all going to be the same.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's literally just a party at Hecate. You're more than welcome to stop by if you're free that night.
Showing up drunk, smelling like weed.
Exactly.
Offering Molly to people.
February 15, the day after Valentine's Day. It's just a party, free RSVP. We're going to have optional single and ready to mingle stickers for people if they want to make it a little bit of a singles mixer kind of thing.
I need a married and stay away from me sticker.
Yeah, exactly. Well, no, that's your
grouchy.
That's your resting bitch face. Like
I will just be myself.
Yeah, you will just be yourself.
And I will repel everybody.
That will be enough of a cock blocker for sure.
Thanks.
And yeah, we'll have conversation starter cards. We have a lot of like Valentine's candy. The dress code is red and pink. Strongly encourage for people to dress in red and pink. We have a bedazzle station so people can put like little face gems.
I was about to ask, will there be a bedazzle station?
There will be. Exactly. You're like, that sounds great, but I'm only get rid of that
question. Yeah, that question is checked off now.
It's very important. There is a bedazzle station. Most of my events have bedazzle stations these days. Know. I already bought like heart-shaped little face gems. So yeah, people can bedazzle themselves. And it's just going to be a party, a hangout to, because like, people who don't drink also want to throw down and party sometimes.
Sure.
So it's going to be that. We've got a good playlist. And then the event that I'm hosting on February 24th is going to be a slightly different, significantly more low-key. That's going to be a fireside chat about alcohol and mental health. So kind of touching upon a lot of the things that we actually just talked about today. If you'd like to join, well, you're more than welcome to come. I'll give you a comp ticket. And we have a licensed therapist, Kendall Bierman. She specializes in addiction.
I just love that you're having a Dr. Bierman.
Yeah, I know. It's a funny thing. Dr. Bierman is talking about she knows alcohol.
Is Professor Cocaine not available?
Dr. Weed is going to be at the next event. Yeah, but it's cool because Kendall, she's sober herself, and it's maybe just basically just gonna be a fireside chat, kind of almost like what we're doing, like a little bit of a conversation interview, and then we'll also take questions from the audience. We'll have snacks, we'll have goodie bags. I'm actually about to call my friend Taya, who runs a all natural skincare company, to do like a little pop up there,
Oh, nice.
do some samples.
Where is this going to be located?
This is going to be at Fabric in Tribeca. It's a big loft co-working community space that I'm a member of. And I think that's going to be super, super nice.
And this is a
little bit more.
ticketed event.
That's a ticketed event.
I'll
Yeah.
be sure to link all of these
Yeah.
in my show notes and
Yeah.
and let all of you guys know.
And
about
that's
that.
open to everyone. You know, Kendall and I obviously were women. My audience is like mostly female. But
Is this the first time you're doing one of these mental health fireside
Yeah.
chats?
Yeah. It's the first time we're actually.
How'd this come about? Because that actually seemed really interesting to me, especially for someone like me that is mentally.
Unwell.
I don't like the way you laughed at that immediately.
Challenge. I don't know what word is gonna follow this mentally.
Yeah, that's the most pregnant pause in the history of my podcast.
Oh my God.
You know what? I'm not gonna finish that. It's
Mentally, you're just
mentally. So someone like me that's just mentally,
mentally,
just so mentally, so mentally. As I'm navigating this new terrain for me, that actually was what I found the most interesting. Because I do, like, I mean, you're my, what I call you last time, my sobriety Sherpa or something like that.
something like I think, yeah, like we talked about ayahuasca.
Yeah, and then you brought up like crapping on yourself.
Yeah, no, the puking, but yeah,
Puking? Is that what
Yeah,
it was? No,
yeah.
I don't know. You
Yeah,
told
like
me
a
non-alcoholic
spirit
beer
guide
makes
kind
you
of
shit, and I
Sherpa.
believed you.
Yeah.
You false information immediately to start the last episode. So, I know non-alcoholic stuff doesn't make you shit now. I'm much smarter now. It's all the mentally stuff. It's improving.
Yeah.
But no, yeah, I still feel pretty new in this, and I ask you a lot. I took this opportunity to ask a lot of questions that I don't know if they're dumb or not. So it'd be nice to hear from someone who like went to school to not be dumb and be a Dr. Beerman.
I mean, Kendall is significantly smarter than all of us combined, and she knows more about that stuff. Like, I mostly speak from my own experience, right? What I really love actually about listening to your podcast is like just hearing my own story. I'm like, oh my God, that's the phase you're in right now. Like, you're in the, oh my God, like what's gonna happen next kind of phase. It's always so funny because I'm literally, you're kind of retracing my steps from where I was 2 years ago. Because we stopped drinking like roughly around the same time of the year. I would say, like, for me it was November, for you it was a couple months before that. But the stages of not drinking or drinking less, and then sort of processing that's a thing, and it's gonna keep going. You're gonna keep, if you keep going with this for another 2 years, things will continue to happen. Like, every few months you'll kind of just go through another process of like, oh wow. So like, I had a big shame phase, for example. Like, once I was out of like the big like pink cloud, like after 6 months, I was like, the shame and regret phase hits you of like, wow, the last 6 months of my life have been actually pretty solid and pretty decent, and I didn't do dumb shit, but I spent 20 years of my life doing dumb shit. And I wasted my life. Like, why the hell did I not quit drinking sooner?
Well, I haven't hit that part yet.
That's gonna be fun. So that will probably be somewhere around maybe 6 to 12 months in.
Interesting.
You're gonna go through that.
The steps that I remember taking that you had already walked through that helped me a little bit, at least to be ready for it, was the notion of getting rid of this idea that you're suddenly going to improve mentally immediately after you stop drinking.
Yeah.
I actually had, the reason why I was pretty interested in the fireside chat is because my sobriety has been pretty smooth and kind of easy, similar to what you were saying, all except for one moment, one day, really. And I had what I can only describe as like a mental breakdown one day where I just couldn't stop crying. Nothing was like overtly wrong. But everything just made me feel absolutely terrible. And I was like openly just crying and like a wreck. And
you're just hormonal, sweetie.
I remember part of it was I couldn't believe I was feeling this bad now that I'm
Mm,
starting to do something actually
yeah,
good
yeah,
for
yeah, yeah, yeah,
myself. And
yeah,
it's like, well, it's almost like, well, that's not fair
yeah,
that I feel like this when I'm actually
yeah.
improving my life.
Mm-hmm.
And my wife actually had this moment where she was like, this doesn't make sense because you're normally not like this.
Mm-hmm.
This is something a little bit different. She's
Mm-hmm.
like, maybe you're actually going through like withdrawal right now. And
Possibly.
the moment she said that, I was like, oh, maybe.
Mm,
Because it was only like a week after I like stopped drinking.
mm,
Maybe not
yeah,
even,
yeah. Oh, yeah. Your entire brain, I mean, if you've been drinking consistently, at that point for you, it must have been like whatever, 15, 20 years or something, right? Like your brain chemistry will be
Yeah.
altered by that. Again, I'm like talking about like, mood altering or psychoactive substances, right? Like if you're, and that's especially in the first few weeks. I mean, some people who drink a lot, they actually have to literally do inpatient
Mm,
treatment in order to do withdrawals because the withdrawal symptoms, like the physical symptoms, are so bad, but also the emotional symptoms. And there's so much that comes together, which is again, like for me, I was drinking for 20 years straight, not like every day and all the time and in extreme amounts, but that was basically most of my adult life. I was drinking multiple times a week. Like that it's like changing your diet or changing like very ingrained habits, right? Your body and your brain and everything will respond to that in some way because you're changing something and you're changing, like, I know it's like going gluten free or if
right.
you've been eating gluten or going vegetarian or whatever, like things happen in your body and your brain and that's totally fucking normal. And that will happen again, and that will also happen over time. I think especially the mental side of things, like it's such an adjustment, and it comes in phases. And there's also like maybe just situations where something that previously, because alcohol is a depressant and people say it numbs them,
Yeah.
where previously you would have maybe drank through it, like maybe that mental breakdown happened because you were feeling not great and previously you would have gotten drunk and not noticed it,
Mm-hmm.
and you were actually just writing it out completely, like you were raw dogging it and you were
Right.
like, oh shit, this is what happens when I raw dog like situations that make me feel emotional, whatever it is that triggered it, right? Like, and it's honestly like, I don't know, for me personally, I find that whole quote unquote journey, as corny as it sounds, I find that kind of cool. It's cool to see like what my body and my brain does in its like natural, well, almost natural. I mean, like I said, I still fuck with coffee and like sugar and whatever it is, but like in an almost like natural state, like who it shows me who I really am. And that's it's been really cool despite all the like the shitty moments. And actually sorry to ramble on here, but the thing about like, you're already doing something to improve your mental health and yet you feel shit, like, and that's not fair. The one thing to always keep in mind is, and I literally got this from a therapist, is like progress is not linear, right? Progress is not a straight line. It goes from bottom left up to the top right, or for you it would be the other way around. But progress is kind of like this. It's like an up and down, but trending positive, trending upwards.
Mm-hmm.
And like, yeah, sometimes things will feel shit and hopeless and awful and infuriating, and you will say dumb shit. Like, just because you quit drinking doesn't prevent you from, the fact that some shit is rough. But overall, you're putting yourself in a position where you actually have more clarity to tackle it in a way that is less destructive. And that overall puts you on a slight upwards trajectory in the long term. And I think that's fucking phenomenal. Like that's what keeps me going. Is just knowing that over time, not drinking is going to end up more positive for
Yeah.
me than drinking.
I agree with there's something about knowing that you're at least not doing something wrong. Like you're not
Yeah,
doing it wrong. Like
exactly.
there's so
Exactly.
much uncertainty in
Yeah.
everything that we do in life. There's no way that I'm looking at my choice to not drink and wondering if I wonder if this is the right decision for
Yeah.
me. Like
Exactly.
there's none of that. Every
Exactly.
other aspect of my life
Yeah.
involves
Yeah.
that. So that's a very foreign
Yeah.
feeling to me. It's very foreign for me to come home and like know beyond the shadow of a doubt that like I didn't I was not irresponsible today. I didn't do anything wrong. Like, I'm not.
I mean, you might have still been irresponsible and
Sure,
done
right.
things wrong, but at least you didn't do something
It wasn't because I was drunk.
that was making it worse.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
And the thing, and I remember we talked about it. I think that was like when in the last time we talked in the last podcast. Remember we talked about integrity and how for the first time in my life when I quit drinking, I felt integrity.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
I felt like my actions were actually aligned with, you know, with my values and what I believed in was a good thing to do. And you're like, integrity, never heard of that.
Right.
Like,
I was like, what the hell
and
are
I
you talking
think
about?
what you're just telling me right now is that you're actually getting closer to feeling some sense of integrity, like you're doing the right thing.
No.
I think you are. I think you are. I think you are.
Maybe.
I think you're feeling like this is something you're doing right.
There are very few moments or things that I can point to in my life and undeniably say I am proud of that. So I would at least say, yeah, there is that to it.
There you go.
I can look at my,
you get that little slice of integrity.
but also like the look on people's faces when they see that it's real. You know, like my wife seeing every day, like that I am really not drinking. My mom teared up when I kind of told her like,
yeah,
you know, she was like just over the moon about it. So, yeah, that's a little weird, like, and foreign for me is the sense of
actually
pride.
Feeling proud and feeling good about yourself.
Yeah, that's not.
There you go.
It's not what this.
And
podcast
all you have
is
to do
about.
is like not drink, right? Like it's not that hard.
Yeah.
I mean, but it's not as hard as like running a marathon, right?
God,
or like
damn
whatever.
it.
You know.
What is up with? I literally, my last guest was talking so much about goddamn marathon running, and all we talked about is that I've never ran one. I only ran 25 miles. I forgot the last mile of point
That's
2.
hilarious. You would have been able to do that. Anyway,
I know, but I just didn't do it.
No, we talked about this. Well, I said next step marathon.
What? Next step you did?
No, that is literally the trajectory. That is the quitting drinking to running a marathon pipeline.
You did say that. I forgot.
It's strong.
God,
It's strong.
I'm gonna stop having marathon runners as my guests from now on. You guys are just.
I did not talk about. We spent.
That's right.
2 hours. It took us 2 hours to get to the marathon. I didn't even talk about running a marathon, so I think we're good. But can I just say I'm extremely happy for you.
I appreciate that.
I am extremely. I know we don't see each other that much and everything, but I've been rooting.
I thought you were gonna be like, I know we don't really like each other. But...
Well, that is. No, but I've been like rooting for you from the sidelines. Like I've been following that journey of yours for the past 2 years at this point. And when we met, we were both still drinking, right? And it's kind of cool to say like, okay, when did we meet? It was 2022. I think it was that summer.
That sounds right.
Yeah, because I got COVID that night. We went to the wrestling. No, that was a different wrestling match. That was a month before, I think. But it was 2022 when I was still living in Williamsburg. And it's been 2.5 years, right?
Yeah.
Like not even 2.5 years. And I think we have both come such a long way and like gone through such a like evolution in just 2 years in our late 30s. Turns out you can teach an old dog new tricks, right? And I think that's kind of super fucking awesome. And I think we can both be proud of ourselves for making that step and like making your mom cry.
I appreciate that. Thanks for helping me make my mom cry. So, yeah, that's.
You're welcome.
I mean, I think there's no better way to put a little bow on it than that. I do appreciate you, and I thank you for like I said, helping me turn that steering wheel just 1 degree over, and therefore now you will now take all the credit for anything positive I ever do in my life.
100%. That marathon you're running, I will be at the fucking finish line.
You're taking my medal. Yeah.
Being like, you're welcome.
Great. No problem. Yeah. Any award I ever win in life, you're just going to take it from me from now on. All right. Appreciate that. You want to plug your socials so that they know where to follow
Plug
you?
in my socials. It's at Third Place Bar NYC on every platform. I have a Substack at Third Place Bar NYC. I have Instagram, which is where I'm most active, and I also have a TikTok, but I deleted the app on off my phone, so I can't
now
post.
you can't get it back.
I can't post on TikTok, but the stuff is still there. So if you want to watch my old videos on TikTok, you can do that too.
Nice. Appreciate you. And I know you guys know where to follow me, but I'm going to say it again anyways. It's the same thing on all platforms: Instagram, X, Twitch, Spotify, YouTube, Threads. Don't laugh. I have them. It's just 3 words. I'm Will Bryant. Bryant. Like Kobe. Thank you. And appreciate you, Sam.
Hey, thank you. You too. Yeah. Good job. Good job. Good job. Get the fuck out of here.
We probably both had beer cans in our head.
I'm gonna ask him if he wants to come stand with my friend.
You want to stand with us and not be alone? And I did. And I stood there and it was nice.
And now fast forward 2.5